Humpty Dumpty screwed us. The whole nursery rhyme, it messed us up. What do I mean by that? It conditioned us to think a certain way. See, Humpty Dumpty, he sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. What did that teach us? The Humpty Dumpty rhyme is a tale about the fragility of things, particularly once they're broken. It highlights the difficulty of repairing or restoring something that's been damaged beyond a certain point. And even with a great effort and resources, the king's horses and the king's men who couldn't put Humpty together again, the rhyme can also be interpreted as a metaphor for the fleeting nature of power or status and the consequences of falling from a high position. Hence their identity. I went deep into this in one of our previous podcasts. And for those of you that are following the current news and tuned into what just took place at the Coldplay concert, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. People in authority, people in a high position, they're terrified to be seen by the world in a different way. They've spent their entire life wanting to be seen a certain way. They see somebody in the mirror that's different than what they want the public to see. And this is what I mean by our identity. So we have a huge investment in not wanting to let those walls come tumbling down. And what are some of the reasons behind that? By the way, for those of you that are saying, hey, Humpty Dumpty really wasn't an egg, the nursery riddle was really about a short, clumsy, overweight person. It doesn't matter. I want you to understand the metaphor behind the riddle and how this messed with us because we were basically taught that if you fall apart, nobody can put you together again. And these things that we learn in early childhood, they can shape and they can form us and they can form belief systems. The next thing you know, it's inhibiting how much life you can have coursing through you, how much vitality you can have, how alive you can feel, all because of an embedded belief that wasn't even your fault. So we are absolutely terrified to let that wall crack and fall apart. And many of us have that belief, just like from the nursery rhyme. We have the belief that if I open up Pandora's box, if I let all of this stuff out, all of the darkness, all of the demons, all of the shadow, all of the stuff that I buried, all of the hurts, the wounds, the traumas, if I go there, I'm not so sure that I can claw my way and find my way out of this or that there'll be enough people that can help me. I feel like I'm going to fall into this well. I'm going to be screaming for help. There's oil all around the well. And every time I try to scratch and claw and climb up, I just fall back down because it's oil. So no thanks. No thanks, David. I'm not letting that wall come tumbling down. No way. I'm not doing it. Plus, if I do fall apart, what will others think of me? And that's exactly what we're seeing just happen with the Coldplay concert. That's what so many people are doing, trying to hide their darkness, their secrets, because they're terrified that if I show you this side of me, if I show you my shadow, if I show you the parts of me that are scared or that have feared or feel unworthy or feel unlovable, and I give up the identity that I've been selling to you, I'm terrified that what? You'll withdraw your love. You won't see me the same way. Maybe you'll see me as a monster. Maybe you'll not see me as a good person. And this is a terrifying feeling for people. So we have a huge investment of never wanting our walls to fall apart. But, and this is a big but, is in real life, it's essential. It's essential that we fall apart. The truth is, and the reality is, the wall must crack. Why? Well, we've heard expressions like put down your guard and let in your God. What does that mean? It means that the more investment we have in building this armor and putting up these walls, the less we're able to access that part of us that's pure, that spirit, that soul, the less we're able to have this beautiful relationship with whoever God is for you. And this guard is what's keeping us and preventing us from meeting this new version of us that operates at a higher level, a higher frequency, and can be more in the mindset or more in the energy of being fully exposed, like where you're visible, you're raw, you're vulnerable, but it's so beautiful because there's no more posturing. There's no more hiding. There's no more walls. It's just like, here's the purity of who I am. And so what I want to convey is that we fear the wrong thing. See, we've been fearing the wall cracking when the truth is we should be fearing keeping it solidified. We should be fearing keeping the wall solid. Why? Well, as long as we have up a wall, we never really get to show the real version of us to the world. As long as we have a wall, we're living inauthentically. We're not living into the fullness of who we are. We're trying to get away from pain as opposed to move towards who we really are and move towards pleasure. As long as we have the wall, we're most likely not going to allow depth and intimacy in our relationships because a part of us is hiding, a part of us is scared. See, the real fear should be keeping that wall up. I mean, I can't tell you how many men over the past 12, 13 years have come to me and said, David, how do I take down her walls? She's cold, she's harsh, she's bitter. I love her so much. How do I take down her walls? And my answer is always the same. You got to take down your own walls. It's never about her. It's not about getting her back. It's not about taking down her walls. It's always about getting yourself back. It's always about taking down your own walls. It's all about taking down your own armoring, which is terrifying for a man. So we are fearing the wrong thing. We are fearing that the wall cracks. Instead, we should be fearing keeping it solidified, keeping it solid. And this is exactly how we should be looking at this. And all of us might have our own story around this. Like I fought it for the longest time, and it took me having to go through a divorce that involved an affair. It took me having to put my dad into a nursing home with dementia, the last place on earth that he would ever want to let himself be. And it took my business starting to fall apart for all of my walls to come crumbling down. See, we won't go down without a fight. We'll kick, we'll scratch, we'll claw, we'll do whatever it takes not to let those walls come down. But we have a saying in our community, your soul will never negotiate, meaning the more that you get away from being authentic, the more that you ignore the deeper truths in your life, the more that your life likely has to fall apart. We call this forces of instability. And sometimes those forces of instability have to get louder and louder and louder. More often than not, you hear a gentle whisper. Then eventually you have a knock on your door. And then eventually your spirit, your soul, the higher powers that be have to break down your door, have to break down those walls, have to have the wall come tumbling down. Why? Because so the real you can start to come out. And again, almost all of us have fought it. And maybe those listening right now are still fighting it. I mean, for my dad, he fought it his whole life. He didn't want the wall to come down. And by the way, everyone has had a different backstory. Everyone has had different hurts and wounds and traumas, although there's a lot of overlap, whether we had physical, emotional, sexual, spiritual, mental abuse in our lives, we all had an investment in putting up the walls. But there's a cost. And this is what I really want to convey. There's a cost when we don't let those walls down. For my father, the cost was dementia. For other people, it might be a heart attack. For other people, it might be Parkinson's. For other people, it might be cancer. For other people, it might be divorce. The question is, what will it take in order for you to let down those walls? And that's something that we need to look at because there is always a cost of keeping the wall up. And then this fear of what if I let it down? And the truth is, if you let down the wall, something beautiful gets exposed. And what is that called? It's called your heart. It's called for the first time, you could be here, you could be vulnerable, you could be out of your head, you could be past the defense systems, you could be past the walls, and you could finally get into your heart and you could be more vulnerable and visible and start to experience life with new colors, new textures, new flavors, new emotions, as opposed to living from your head, which is, the wall has all the stories and all the reasons and all the justifications as to why I can't let this down. But on the other side of the wall, if we finally let it come tumbling down, there's a whole life to be lived. So my question for you is what's been the cost to you for having those walls up? Does it cost you relationships? Does it cost you your health? Does it cost you your finances? Does it cost you your mission and your purpose? And another question to consider is what's been the cost to other people in your life? That's a big one to consider. What's been the cost to you and what's been the cost to other people? And the next question for you to answer is, do you want help letting the wall down, letting the wall crack? And this is exactly what we do, by the way, at Man on Fire is our mastery, especially at our signature 4-day event. If you haven't heard about it in some of our previous podcasts, is, oh my God, are we good at helping men take down those walls? And how do we do that? What's called love. It's called we love a man home into the remembrance of who he is when he's forgotten who he is. So through love, through compassion, through empathy, through some fierceness, through some tenacity, something magical happens when men get together in a brotherhood and there's no judgment and there's just love. It makes it a hell of a lot easier to take those walls down. And we've heard things like, oh my God, in these 3 days, 4 days, I just went deeper than I've gone in 20 years of therapy. This is incredible. Oh my God, how did you guys do that? And we have a magical formula. We have a way of helping take down those walls. The antidote is always love. And when you get love from a lot of other people, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to put down those walls because you don't feel judged. And when you don't feel judged, magic can happen. So do you want help in letting that wall crack? And please, if this podcast inspired you in any way, shape, or form, it touched something deep within you, do me a favor and please share this with a friend in need that you know that this would help. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Man on Fire podcast. I look forward to seeing you inside the next one as your walls come tumbling down. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you'll know the next episode has dropped.